வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம். ஹலோ. இல்லை இப்போ தான் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன். உங்களுக்கு வருதா டேட்டா வருதா பாருங்கள். ஸ்டார்டிங் சூன் வந்திருக்கோம். இப்போ வந்திருக்கா பாருங்கள். ஆடியோ மட்டும் வருதா பாருங்கள். ரெண்டு ஹலோ. இல்லை அது பக்கத்தில் இருக்கேன். ஸோ அதனால் பேச முடியாது. இது எதாவது பிரச்சனைனா நீங்கள் கோட் ஆஃப் பண்ணிட்டு மெசேஜ் பண்ணுங்கள். ஓகேவா? ரைட்டா? ரைட். ஓகே. ஸ்டார்ட் 4
ஷார்ப் 4 ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கணும். பட் பேசிக்கலி இது ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகிடும்.
ஓகே.
அவங்க வந்து ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸில் வர சொல்லுங்கள். பட் ஆனால் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகிடுச்சு சொல்லுங்கள் அவங்க.
Swastiastu for saying Bali. Namaskaram, namaste, vanakkam. It has been a pleasure to work with the artists who are with us today. There's really been some amazing moments in the last 2 weeks. For 2 weeks we've had artists R.I.S.E, Setiawan, Koman, and Made from the village of Sukawati with us. Today we've been graced with the presence of a very famous South Indian dancer, internationally known Nita Rama. We are also joined by our students today, our students who are trying to do good in the world, the energy that they have, with their own sense of direction and quality. And then finally, our own faculty, with that same message, that same calling, just in a different path of life. When we first started R.I.S.E last year, the idea was brought forward by one of our students. She was very interested in having TED Talks here at the school. We began to the ideas were kind of cross-pollination. We started to build relationships. We started to come together as a faculty, working with the students, and start to build what you see today. This is on one side our guest artist program, on the other side our lectures coming together into R.I.S.E. The idea behind R.I.S.E, why we all came together, was to build a forum for ideas here in our school, a forum to inspire, to amuse, entice, provoke our community to engage in dialogue. And that is what you've seen here today. The students that you saw the first piece, they created this piece this week, working with the artists. They were learning the music in the Bali style. We created this very week, and we're very honored to welcome the stage and have them give this gift to all of you. I'd like to welcome one of the organizers, co-organizers. There's a committee of us with R.I.S.E, and that is from our language department here. I don't have a microphone, I'm sorry to say. She does.
Namaste, Vanakkam, and a very warm welcome to each of you gathered here. Before we begin today's event, may I request you to ensure that your phones are on listen or vibration mode so that not to disrupt the speakers. To avoid causing any further distractions to those on stage, may I also request you to use the side doors and lock the back doors during the event in case of necessity. Thank you. We have come together this evening to listen to inspiring talks, not only from our school's Operation Smile volunteers, but also from 3 eminent personalities whose diverse lives exemplify the concepts of service, resilience, and innovation. We will also have the unique opportunity to witness a Balinese dance and puppetry performance accompanied by gamelan music. This event would not have been possible without the generous support of our head of school, Mr. Andrew Hoover, the Parent Community Association, and the R.I.S.E committee, to whom we express our heartfelt appreciation. Now, without further ado, over to Sean Bloom.
So I mentioned just a little bit. I had the good fortune to meet Kadek working on professional development. I went to Bali over the summer to train, and then I think you can see some of the fruits of that training and what we do for our teachers when they come back to the community after they've gone to do training. Well, my training is, of course, in theater. And so I had the good fortune to meet living masters. They come from a family. Over generations, they have been practicing wayang kulit, which is shadow puppetry, Balinese dance. The dalang, the job of the dalang, who is the puppeteer. Puppeteer is somewhat of a small word in English. In dalang, it's a very big word. It means explorer. The dalang is the one who conducts the gamelan orchestra. Usually the orchestra can be anywhere from 4 to 30 people. It can also have a chorus behind him. He has usually in his head around 150, 200 hours of dialogue in the case of Kadak in English, in Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Bali, and in ancient Javanese. The puppets, when they speak, the gods, they speak in ancient Javanese. Today we were preparing for the show the offerings, and we had our staff running around town, buying this, buying that, bringing it all back here to prepare the offerings so that the gods would favor this show and smile upon it. So it was with great pleasure and great humility that I welcome you all to enjoy tonight's performance. Enjoy.
Where is my son? Come on.
Dad, wait for me, Dad.
What?
Wait for me. Let's go home, Dad.
Remember you made us, son.
Dad, please. Let's go home. I want to watch TV, Dad.
No, son. Okay. I will tell you a story.
A story? I have heard your story for a long day.
No. I will tell you a story, son. This is a story about barley.
Wow, Bali.
Yes. Barley. Yes. It's long time ago.
How long is that, Dad?
Quiet, just say it's long time ago. Before you were born, before I was born. In Bali. Bali was have a fertile soil. And then lot of sector, lot of religion come to Bali and then make Bali chaos. And the king Udayana was very sad. mayate kisan sa kampukuturan. And then the King Udayana asked for help, and Prince Kutulan sent to Bali. Wakulot! Nanaku kalangkan tu. Yang Tony mangkan na pada sigara-sigara lumaku. Wakulan yang Tony mangkan ni kapan wikan. Ogres. And then Prince Kutulan come to Bali. enak pada menangkap. Saya, ayo nunaning pariak. Oh, sangat, jangan sangat. Well, now we come to Bali, see, very beautiful scene. Oh, I don't like you. What? Look at that, lot of animals. Don't worry. Okay. Oh, the beach is very. And ah, hamburger, guacamole. That you favorite food? Yes, I cannot find you. Don't worry, come on. Sing a song, sing a song. Oh no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on, come on. Sasiwe makanengata banyong non-sing suciwe onir malom Wajiro tantra Ampu kuturan kanan wajah Angin ujar bawang Buat kita masih malak Saksanya Antrian bersamui kanang jagat Panganangan puisi rempu kuturan Apa mungkin ni kanang kemasan jagat boleh kuliah All in his people If you want to be dominant, all the sector, all the religion, we want to be dominant. We cannot reach the goal of the religion to live prosperous and now, like making the food, if sour is dominant, you food will serve it. If chili is dominant, your food will be very hot. Let's take a proportional amount, and then our food will be delicious. Let's from now, I will combine all the sector. Indra, Vayu, Bhairava, Buddha, Shiva, Siddhanta, Ganapati. Big three. And then from now, I will name three Murti. Saksanya. Wang kono yatu. Orang manilum buku turan tanan wade. Wang Somangkana kota tuani kanang cari quickly. Why it's so dark there? Oh, problem solved. Look at that. And then move to run. Combine all the sector become 3. Since that time, in Bali, known as the Trimurti Temple. Now, this is the temple called Samuhan.
Oh, someone Tiga. Wasn't that mean that?
That is the 3 meeting point of the.
That's a good stuff.
Okay, son, come on. Do it. And then thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire school, we'd like to thank you for your residency, for the time that you've had in the classes. Several hundred children have come to the classes this week. Again, bravo to artists who can still push through when there are technical difficulties. We thank you for your patience, and we thank you for your diligence. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I have the distinct honor of introducing R.I.S.E's featured student speakers and share a little bit about their efforts with the outstanding NGO Operation Smile. Operation Smile is an international children's medical charity that performs safe, effective cleft lip and cleft palate surgery. They also deliver post-op and ongoing medical treatment to children in developing countries at no cost to families. R.I.S.E students, with the dedicated guidance of Ms. Vasanthi, have been volunteering with Operation Smile over the past 4 years. Our team works hard to raise funds for the organization and is dedicated to raising awareness about the need for these important surgeries. Each year, approximately 4,500 babies are born with a cleft lip or palate, leaving them with facial deformity that may lead to ear disease, speech disorders, and challenges with ingesting food and drink, potentially impacting their development. Cleft surgery provides them with an opportunity to live a healthier life, and in many cases, allows them to be accepted in their communities. Each year, R.I.S.E students serve as volunteers on Operation Smile medical missions in India, supporting medical teams with intakes, screenings, and pre- and post-op care of young patients. These missions are not for the faint of heart. They are very intense experiences. And in these missions, our students truly have an opportunity to live the core values of our school while giving of themselves to the babies, children, parents, nurses, and doctors in their demonstration of courage, confidence, creativity, and compassion through service. This weekend, our tireless Operation Smile team is hosting a leadership conference here at R.I.S.E called You Lead. In fact, it's in progress right now, and our student speakers have been participating in it all day. Young people from local schools in Chennai have gathered together to gain awareness, share experiences, and work together to build their leadership skills. All of this organized and executed by our very own R.I.S.E Operation Smile team. It's pretty cool. Tonight, I'm proud to introduce two young people who embody the mission of our school, Saram Park and Minsang Park, two of our dedicated R.I.S.E Operation Smile volunteers. Please join me in welcoming Saram and Minsang as they each share a bit about their personal experiences in service. Minsang and Saram? Saram is just coming from playing in the band, so she's doing a double duty tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a great pleasure and honor to be standing here and talking to you all. My name is Minsang Park, and I'm a junior at this school. And this is Saram Park, who is a sophomore at this school. And I will now hand this floor to Saram so she can talk about her unique experience and the mission that we had in Kolkata, India.
Through Operation, I now truly understand the satisfaction one gets when someone smiles and says thank you because of my small deed. Last year, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a meaningful mission. I have never witnessed any surgery. I was scared but excited. When I visited the hospital on the first day, I saw kids crying and screaming, which made me stand frozen in my place. I saw doctors moving hurriedly, and a lady who was assigned to look after the kids came over to me and asked me to do a huge favor: entertain and comfort the crying kids. I was nervous, but I blew bubbles and used stickers to play with the kids. I was touched because of their innocence. I knew that they had to get an operation soon, so I tried my best to make them feel at ease and not to think of the horrors of operation by hiding my own scared feelings. The hospital rooms were slowly emptied. Later, I consulted with the doctor and entered the post-surgery room. I saw a child around the age of 7 or 8 lying down on the bed. As I went closer, I could see his pale and pained face. I was shocked because the boy was one I had spent a lot of time with. I felt more pity as I was closest with this little boy, and besides the cleft lip, he had many other disorders as his one leg and arm were amputated. I couldn't do anything for him, even though I knew that he was suffering a lot. What I could do was smile. I could cheer him up, and I made a flower and gave it to him, which brought a small smile to his face. This made me so proud and happy. Although this was a small gesture, it meant a lot to him, and he paid it off by giving me a smile, which greatly touched my heart. This was one of the most memorable moments for me, because even though the boy had a lot of hindrances in his life, he never showed a sad side of himself. I really appreciate him. It taught me a valuable and precious lesson.
Although it is true that during our mission in Kolkata, we met new people and made meaningful relationships and experiences working with the staff, the volunteers, and the kids. However, our unique experiences were not restricted to making new relationships. Personally, This mission in Kolkata changed my general perception of the world. Now, what I mean by this is that before my Operation Smiles mission, I was completely unaware of the situations that were happening in communities less fortunate than mine. As I grew up in a relatively affluent family, I always thought that all of the kids in this world were just living just as fine as I was. It wasn't until had I met the kids getting medical checkups and consultations with the pediatricians that I began to understand the status quo of the poverty situation, especially here in India. And I can tell you, it was far miserable than I'd expected. At first, I was shocked at the number of the patients that were waiting to cure their cleft lips and palates. And then I was shocked twice when I heard from one of the doctors that the most effective way to prevent cleft lips and palates was to adequately nurture the pregnant mother with sufficient amount of nutrients. The fact that thousands of people came to us for help proves that malnutrition is an abominable topic of concern. Malnutrition was such a problem that one child could not even apply for this medical operation because she was severely underweight for her age. The doctors were concerned that her underweight body would not endure the anesthetic procedures. Even just by looking at her, I could tell how malnourished she was. With her angular arms and legs, she could hardly walk. The days I've spent working with the kids were unique to me in that way. The experience opened my formerly blind eyes to the issues that must be addressed as soon as possible. Indeed, even now, I remorse about the days that I had spent being indifferent towards the starving kids out there. The power of this experience ultimately led me to engage in other NGOs as well, helping out poor children worldwide. I recently have started volunteer work for World Vision as a letter translator for the children. Now, as Operation Smile student volunteers, we want to see new faces among us. That is another reason why Ms. McClamery, Sarim, and I are here on stage today. We hope that we could see everyone getting involved in these meaningful operations, hopefully soon. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Vincent and Sarah. So these guys have to get back down to their conference. So we are going to acknowledge you now for your amazing speeches and your words. Thank you so much. Ms. Priya's got a small token of our appreciation for you from the house. Thank you guys very much. Give them another round of applause. Great. Thanks, you guys. We will now take a 15-minute intermission. Please join us in the lobby for refreshments, and we'll be back in 15 minutes for the rest of the show. Thank you.
그냥 픽스 나는 야로 스위치 தெரியாம
செக் பண்ணாமப்பா வால்யூம்
நீங்க
வால்யூம் மூட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்
இப்போ ரிலீஸ் பண்ணுங்க
எங்களில் வேறு மாதிரி காமிச்சுதா அதனால ட்ராக் 4ன்னு வச்சு இங்கே வந்து ட்ராக் 4 காமிக்க மாட்டேங்குது எல்லாத்தையும் கிளியர் பண்ணோம்
I just came to shoot.
இதுவா சின்ன கொஞ்சம் அதான் போட்டிருக்கோம். ஷி லெட் மீ செக் தி சிடி ஆல்சோ ப்ளீஸ்.
ஓகே.
Not get delete, yeah.
Can I do that?
Delete that, please.
Delete this?
Delete that.
Which one do we
Open
want?
this, open this. Pen drive.
Pen drive is not there.
Where the pen drive
That's
is?
one thing. Look at that.
Pen drive is right. Yes, open. 1, 2, 3 ಕೊಡುನು. ಕ್ಷೀರದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೊಡುನು. Eleven 23, yeah.
11 minutes.
Just check one more thing. 11:21 will be there.
Yes, there was something like that. But can I discuss something? Yes.
बैक करना यहाँ पे बैक करना वो मेरे कलर नेक्स्ट में मुझे मर फिर अब स्पाइरल वाशिंगटन में करना हाँ शीराज पढ़ना 11 minutes 20 seconds
11 minutes 21 seconds.
हाँ दिस इज கொஞ்சம் ப்ளே பண்ணுங்க ப்ளீஸ் சர்ச் பண்ணிட்டே இருக்கேன் அதனால சவுண்ட் பார்த்து பயந்து போய்ட்டு நானும் ஏதோ பண்ணிட்டேன் விட்டுட்டு 11 minutes 21 seconds, sir. This is the thing.
This is the one?
Yeah. The CD level எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
இல்லை CD
பென் டிரைவ் அங்கே காப்பி பண்ணிக்கோங்க.
Oh, that one? Last row? No, this one right here. Which one? Just go to it. Just right there. There.
அனிதாக்கு ரெடி ஆகணும்னு இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுவாங்க.
ஆமாம் இல்லை நான் இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிடுறேன்.
Okay.
செல் ரெண்டு ஒன்று எங்கிட்ட தான் இருக்குது. எல்லாத்தையும் க்ளோஸ் பண்ணுங்க. ஜஸ்ட் இதை மட்டும் ப்ளே பண்ணி பாருங்க. எந்த இருக்கட்டுமா எடுத்துட்டோமா சரி இன்கேஸ் ஏதாவது ப்ராப்ளம் ஆச்சுன்னா எடுத்துருக்கு
அதான் இது பார்த்து பண்ணி வச்சேன்.
ஷூர்
ஷூர் ஆல்சோ யூ லீவ் மீ தி கேமரா
just in case. Let me just listen 1 second, okay? I'll make sure.
Can I be standing right now?
Do we think the technology issues are taken care of? Do we have any idea for the next part? Because there were quite a few. Are the
Next is the dance program. நான் இருக்கேன் மேடம் ரெடி
First she should go to common jobs. Then she will go, he will move on. I'm starting.
That's it.
Dance is the most fragile of art forms, yet the most powerful. It is the skin of the soul, stretching to speak. It's a privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Anita Ratnam. Ms. Ratnam is a former parent of our school, and through her unique art form of dance demonstrates courage, confidence, creativity, and compassion, and is making a unique contribution to our diverse and dynamic world. These are the same qualities that drives us as a school, and one of the reasons why we are so proud to have her with us today. As an accomplished classical dancer and choreographer, she's acclaimed as one of India's most gifted artists. Neo-Bharatanatyam showcases her creativity, where she combines Kathakali, Mohiniyattam, Tai Chi, Kalaripayattu. Her career spans over 3 decades, with more than 1,000 performances in 15 different countries. Anita's multifaceted personality has made significant contributions in other fields as choreographer, scholar, actor, television personality, and a cultural activist. Without much further ado, the present year with Anita Ratnam.
Good afternoon to parents and students of R.I.S.E. I have to tell you that I am an R.I.S.E. parent as well. My son and my 3 nephews went to this campus before it had developed to this enormously magnificent space. This is many years ago. And I was perhaps one of the first performers to dance with my troupe at what is now your basketball court. So you can imagine how many years ago that was. I'm very happy to be back here. And I thought this afternoon I would use my time, not just to speak, but also to give you a short demonstration, because dance really is an art that lives in the body. One cannot talk dance, one cannot argue dance, one has to dance, because it is of the most embodied of arts. But I have to also tell you, because we're parents and children here, that I am the only artist in my family on both sides. Everybody else, for many generations, were either in the armed forces, the civil services, bureaucrats, ambassadors, doctors, scientists, and business entrepreneurs. So it took a lot for me to hold on to my dream, and I have to thank my parents for recognizing that I had this very restless spirit, and that I needed to find my path. So this is also a moment where I acknowledge them. For today, I want to show you a well-known story in the Indian dance tradition. I will be using the style of Bharatanatyam. Some of you may already have children who are practicing it, but for those who haven't seen it, who may not know very much about it, what I thought I would do is explain with the gesture language what I would do, so perhaps you can enjoy what I do more. The story that I will share with you this afternoon is of the goddess Lakshmi. She is most often portrayed as holding two lotuses on either hand, and she always has a very beautiful, gentle smile on her face. Lakshmi is worshipped and adored and invoked in the Indian tradition for her blessing, which means when a daughter is born in the house, we say, let's welcome Lakshmi into the house. When a lamp is lit in the evening at 6 o'clock, it is, we welcome Lakshmi again into the house. And when she smiles and looks in our direction, we have prosperity, we have health, we have well-being, and yes, we have prosperity in the terms of money. Which is why many business people, especially in North and West India, they have a photograph of Lakshmi in their stores, and when they open the stores in the morning, they would present incense, so they have a good business day. But today the story of Lakshmi is when once she was very upset with the arrogance of the male gods in the heavens, she decided that she would disappear. When she disappeared, because she represents well-being, health, prosperity, the world itself began to wither. The seasons stopped and everything was barren. The oceans had dried up. I'm giving you the backstory so that the actual story is the gods in the heavens and the demons decided for the first time to join hands. They usually fight all the time, but this time they decided to become friends and join hands. And they had realized that the goddess had hidden herself underneath the waters of the ocean. So in order to invite her to rise again, to reveal herself, they had to churn the ocean. So how do they begin this mighty task? They decided to take a mountain, the huge mountain, and put it as a churning rod right in the middle. Then they took the great serpent called Vasuki and threw the serpent around the mountain on either side, and each took one end. One side took the head of the serpent, the other took the tail, and they began the great churning. The waters heaved, and from the waters emerged many wondrous things. The moon, the sun, the stars, a wonderful elephant, a horse, the tree of life with branches, beautiful maidens sitting on the branches singing beautiful music, the cow which would always give milk, the cow of plenty. While this churning was occurring, the serpent Vasuki was so exhausted with the constant pulling back and forth that it suddenly spat out its poison. So when this poison spurted out over the waters, it threatened to pollute and actually consume everything that it touched. So the churning stopped and everybody was really fearful. At this point, Shiva, another god who was watching, decided that he had to take matters into his hands. Shiva is portrayed like this because the right hand says, do not fear, and the left hand that is pointing downwards saying, I bless all of you who come to me. So Shiva gathers the poison and drinks it. The poison stops at his throat because his wife decides, oh my God, I don't want you to swallow all the poison. So it's past his mouth. She stops it at the throat, and his throat turns blue. And he's also known as the blue-throated one. So once the poison is cleared, the churning begins again. And there arises the father of Indian medicine. It's called Ayurveda. Dhanavantari emerges holding the pot that contains the nectar of immortality. One drop of the nectar and one would live forever. Then emerges Lakshmi from the ocean. She's pleased with the effort. And there she is radiant. The elephants bring her the waters. The maidens are singing beautiful music. Everybody wants to be close to her, because to be close to her is to feel powerful,
pleasant and calm. Lakshmi emerges with a garland, and she looks around and says, now who should I thank and who should I invite to be my partner? She looks around and she finds Vishnu and garlands him. But there is yet the dilemma of how the nectar is going to be distributed. If the gods have it, it's of course in their favor. If they don't have it, then the demons become more powerful. So now what happens is the turn of the male god Vishnu to turn and to become a beautiful woman, and seductively Vishnu, as just flutters eyelids. It still goes on today. Women fluttering eyelids to detract the demons. She says, wait, I'm bringing this to you. And she starts serving all the gods first with the nectar of immortality, so that they consume it to become powerful. So this is a glimpse of the story. Remember, it goes really fast, but I had to show this to you and break it down, so I hope you can follow it. Once the story is complete, I conclude with a benediction, a very well-known benediction, sung almost daily in the famous temple town of Tirupati, not too far away from Madras, and it is sung in homage to the goddess Lakshmi. It speaks about her beautiful arms that are like lotus stalks. It speaks of her eyes that are like lotus petals, eyes that ooze compassion for the suffering. It speaks of her beautiful nose, her mouth, her neck, everything about her, her broad shoulders, her tiny waist. It speaks about her consummate beauty, her immanence. It also describes that she's not just content to be beautiful. She has many aspects. She's bold, she's brave, she's kind to children. She encourages education. She gives wealth. So she has many facets to her, the many shades or avatars of Lakshmi. Finally, the song concludes by saying, how do I worship you? Do I worship you with camphor? Do I worship you with a whisk like a fan? Do I pour milk on you? Do I pour honey on you? Do I bathe you in sandalwood? How many ways can I worship you? And the worship always goes in a clockwise direction, where the hand will symbolize the various kinds of worship that there are. Lakshmi is seen alongside Vishnu, the god she chose to garland, and the choreography will also keep in mind that because she emerged from the waters, the choreography becomes very fluid and flowing. This is a choice I made because normally the Bharatanatyam style is very triangular, geometric, and there's a lot of stamping. So because it is a story that is situated in the fluidity of the great ocean, I've chosen to soften those contours with my movements. So I really hope that you enjoy this very short 10-minute presentation. I want to thank the faculty and especially Sean for giving me this opportunity. It's a delight to return to R.I.S.E, and now I present Mahalakshmi Shirabdi Kanikapu. Thank you.
Shirabi Kanyakaku Shri Mahalakshmi Giri Nirajalaya Guru Nirajanam Shirabi Kanyakaku Shri Mahalakshmi Giri Nirajalaya Guru Nirajanam Shirabi Kanyakaku Shri Mahalakshmi Giri Nirajalaya Guru Nirajanam Shirabi Kanyakaku Shri Mahalakshmi Giri Nirajalaya Nirajanam Nirajanam జలజాక్షి మోహునకు జక్కవకు చంబులకు జలజాక్షి మోహునకు జక్కవకు చంబులకు జలజాక్షి మోహునకు జక్కవకు చంబులకు నెలకున్న కప్పురపు జలజాక్షి మోహునకు జక్కవకు చంబులకు నెలకున్న కప్పురపు నీరాజనం మణివేణి తురుమునకు హస్తకమలంబునకు మణివేణి తురుమునకు హస్తకమలంబునకు నిలుమాణిక్యముల నీరాజనం నీరాజనం పగడు శ్రీ వెంకటేశు పట్టపురాణిని పగడు శ్రీ వెంకటేశు పట్టపురాణిని నెగడు సతి కలలకును నీరాజనం పగడు శ్రీ వెంకటేశు పట్టపురాణిని నెగడు సతి కలలకును నీరాజనం జగతి అలవేలు మంగా జగతి అలవేలు మంగా జగతలముల గిల్ల జగతి అలవేలు మంగా జగతలముల గిల్ల జగతి అలవేలు మంగా జగతలముల
Thank you for a beautiful performance, Ms. Anita Redmond. Unfortunately, she has to leave right now for a family event. I would request Mr. Kenneth Crouch to come on stage and give her a bouquet of flowers.
Did you know that A Teacher Among Us has Google's top-ranked motivational blog? This same teacher also became the youngest dean of students in his New York City School District's 80-year history. A feat not achieved through his outstanding disciplinary action alone, but through his outstanding discipline. Now, our very own Jeff Moore is going to share with us an intensely personal story about resilience, about overcoming failure through tough lessons and tough choices. The journey toward being the best you that you can be always starts with yourself and involves the inescapable challenge of at first accepting yourself for who you are. But that is only the beginning. Jeff's tale of how he learned to take full responsibility of his life is sure to inspire anyone who has ever asked the question, can I do it? Now, please welcome our final speaker of the night, Jeff Moore.
Say resilience is never giving up. Bouncing back. Not letting small things bring you down, or even big things, I guess.
But you keep getting back up. Always trying.
At its most basic level, resilience is stick-to-itiveness. You know, you gotta stick with stuff.
No matter what happens, if you stay positive and keep working hard to get to the place where you want to be.
And doing that thing that you love to do, and not letting fear be bigger than the passion of that.
To me, resilience is the way you equip yourself to reach the success you want to reach.
It's a choice they have to make themselves.
Really empowering, but really freeing to realize I can go anywhere and I can do anything as long as I'm willing to just pick myself up, dust myself off, and keep moving forward.
Try to keep your joy and your grace and your positivity in that trying.
The best way to achieve success is to make stepping stones out of falling blocks.
Stepping stones towards getting to my goal.
So I turned to my art for comfort, solace, figuring out what to do.
At the end of the day, you gotta go with your gut and your heart.
You're ready for that unknown, and you're ready to change the route. Knowing where you're going, but you're ready to change the route.
Always having faith in yourself that you can find another route.
You just have to brave the storm.
Regardless of what someone may tell them, I think it's something that they have to decide.
And not caring so much what people think about me. You head off to college and you face different challenges that are unavoidable.
And you become independent. You find out what works for yourself.
I'm kind of the person that likes to make a plan.
You have to have the faith that it will go.
If somebody thinks they're not resilient, I will just say that you're lying because the answer is right there within you.
That it's a skill. It's something that you can build.
Just keep a positive mind. Everything will be fine.
The mindset of achieving the greatest person I can be.
Keep working out something. I think eventually, no matter who it is, I'll find a reach.
I think you can reach any level of success if you do the right things and if you make the right choices.
First First off, Mr. Kevin Crouch, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And can we please give another huge round of applause for everyone who helped out in that video? Ladies and gentlemen, children, good evening. And I'd like to start this off by saying this was not easy. Getting here today to this moment was not easy. See, I learned about resilience when I was in elementary school, when I didn't even know what it was. But what I did know was that my father was black from the deep south. My mother was Jewish from Brooklyn. And I went to public school by day and Hebrew school in the evening. And that might not sound like a big deal, but to me, I was very different. And I felt very different from the people around me. And it bred this small and quiet insecurity within me that grew. And I guess I was a little bit resilient early on because I never told my parents, oh, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go. I didn't say that. I decided to act out, to try to fit in, to try to look for the social acceptance I was longing for. And so that came in the form of being the class clown. I loved lighting people up. I loved making people laugh. It made me feel like I was just like everybody else. And I remember as a little kid when it was time to get report cards. And, we would get the report cards in a sealed envelope, and I would hand it to my father. He was a very serious, loving man, very serious man. And he would open the report card and look at the grades and have this long face of disappointment. And he would then pass it to my mother, who looks at the grades and she just starts crying. And then he would hand it to me, and I would look at it, and I would see that my name was correct, my address was correct, my ID number was spot on. But all the grades were completely wrong. I just saw C's, D's, and F's, and then I got comments like, Jeff is a major distraction in class. Jeff is not fulfilling his potential. I saw this and I was shocked. I said, Mom, Dad, we're going to the school tomorrow. We need to see the guidance counselor. He made a terrible mistake. And my father would just look at me. He wasn't laughing. I was laughing. He wasn't laughing. And he would say, Jeff, how do you expect to get different kind of grades when you know what you're doing in school every day? You know what you're doing day in and day out. I just got 4 phone calls from your teachers in the past 2 weeks. Why are you the only one that's surprised? And see, this didn't stop in elementary school. This went from elementary school to middle school to high school. And by high school, I mastered being the class clown. I had it down to a science. Kids were hoping to be in my class. The kids were checking their schedule. Am I in Jeff's class? Because if I'm in Jeff's class, I know I'm going to get a show. Because he disrupts the beginning, middle, and the end of the lesson. I got so good at making people laugh. I got so good at being the joker that I thought it was me. I fooled myself. And I thought that that's who I really was. And I thought that that's all I was. You see, I was being extremely resilient, very persistent in blocking the real me out. I was being extremely resilient and extremely consistent in blocking out my own personal greatness. I was trading in my own academic success for other people's approval. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And my enemy was within. I was insecure due to my background. I thought I was too different. I thought if people knew, they wouldn't like me. I thought if people really knew how smart I was, they wouldn't like me. See, they saw me joking around, but they didn't know my mother has me up until 11 o'clock at night doing vocabulary. I'm writing in vocabulary workbooks until late at night. I'm studying and reading civil rights leaders, not to be trained to be an activist, but to study greatness. but to study great people. But I never showed that. And this even continued on into college. And I'm in college, let me tell you everybody, I'm in college having a great time. I loved college. I loved it. And one day, I got a phone call from my mother. I pick up the phone, and I say, "Hey, Mom, how are you?" And she's crying on the phone, and she says, Jeff, what are you doing up there?" I said, "Mom, I'm sleeping. I'm actually sleeping right now." And she said, "I just got a letter from the dean of students that said they're going to kick you out of college this semester for failing 4 consecutive semesters." I said, "Mom," I had the same excuse from my mother all the time. I said, "Mom, don't worry. I got this. There's more time. I can hand all the work in. I promise." And she just cried. And I said, "Mom, next time, I love you, but just please call me back a little bit later. It's like 7 in the morning. And she said, "That's your problem. It's 3 p.m. Get up." I said, okay. I hung up the phone. And it was such an interesting moment. As soon as I got that call, 2 extremely other powerful things just happened to happen. One of them was that I enrolled in a class called American Literary Traditions. And I ended up reading this essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson called Self-Reliance. And of course, when I was a child, my parents used to always affirm me. They used to always tell me, "Jeff, believe in yourself, stand tall, stand proud." But for some reason, I never believed them. I just thought they were doing what parents do, telling me good stuff, telling me nice stuff. I didn't really believe it. And when I'm reading Self-Reliance, he said, trust yourself, love yourself, because when you do that, you're able to give the world your gift. Emerson wrote, trust yourself, and only then can you tap in to your greatness. And for some reason, at that moment in time, the Japanese call it satori. I had this moment of awakening within. And I realized how much time I was wasting. And I realized that I was not being who I'm destined to be. I'm not being who I truly am. I'm not trusting myself. Because if I trusted myself, I wouldn't care what other people think. I wasn't trusting myself at all. And I was so blown away by this. I'm 20 years old, and I'm asking myself, why didn't I read this at 12? Why didn't I read this at 13, 14, 15? And I realized that for me at that time, the only logical thing to do was to have an impact on people the way this text had an impact on me. And at that moment in time, I said, I'm going to be a teacher. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm going to expose children to work like this, work that moved me, so I can be a catalyst in their lives. And I had that, and let me tell you, I had that epiphany at the perfect timing. Because 3 days later, I had a meeting with the dean of students. And his name was Mr. Clarence Weatherspoon. And he said, Jeff, can you please explain to me the C's, D's, and F's for the past 4 semesters? And I said, I'm sorry. I was just trying to figure some things out. I know that there's some more time. I can still hand the work in. There's more time. And I got to speak, and I spoke to him about Emerson and how I want to be a teacher and how I want to provide change. I want to inspire and empower and educate children so that they can tap into who they really are earlier. He said, Jeff, that sounds great, but the numbers don't lie. Your grades are terrible. I said, all right, okay, I get it. I understand. He said, Jeff, you have 1 semester left to get your act together, or you'll be out of this college for good. And at that time, I realized that I was viewing time completely wrong. And I think that many of us are viewing time completely wrong. See, I used to see time like a clock, like a circle. It just keeps on going. And at that time, I realized time is really like an hourglass. It runs out. And I realized now I'm going to approach my studies, my work, working on myself with a sense of urgency. I had 1 semester to make it happen. And I did. At that time, I moved out of my apartment. I was living with about 4 friends, and we had a great time together, but I knew I had to leave and go somewhere else. I started connecting with other students in my class and in my major who were getting A's and B's. And I started learning how they approach their studies, what they do with their free time, how they build relationships with the professors. And I was blown away. I thought they should give a class just on what these kids are teaching me. And it was amazing. And I ended up getting just under 4.0s for the last 2 semesters. So needless to say, I stayed in school and I was aware of all of these wonderful principles I was learning. Like 1, treat your goals and your progress with a sense of urgency. You don't get any more time. Right now is when you start the work. 2, I learned to build relationships with positive people, people who can help me. Some of those people who tried to kick me out of university, I'm still in contact today. And I love them because they help wake me up. And the 3rd thing was I had to move. Like you just heard me tell before, I had to move and get my own apartment. I had to spend some time by myself to define myself, to learn who I really am and who I really want to be. So I carry these principles on now into graduate school. So everything I learned unintentionally, through chance, through life, through the lessons of life, through the lessons of my failures and mistakes, I was able to apply very intentionally in graduate school. And I started getting grades that I literally, you can ask my mother, never got before. Never got before. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I was in a group. We were all aspiring teachers, all aspiring New York City educators. And upon graduation, we continued to meet. And we agreed, we said we're going to meet once a month to discuss the job hunt. We were all very afraid of the job hunt because in the newspaper it said there are no jobs out there. It's a hiring freeze. This is the time to go back to school. And I'm like, I just did 7 years of school. I'm not going back to school. I need a job. So I started applying to schools, many schools, 5 schools, 10 schools. And I kept on hearing the same thing. We don't have any money to pay you. You have no real teaching experience. You don't have the qualifications, even though I had a master's. So I did what I thought made sense. I became a substitute teacher in Washington Heights, New York, at George Washington High School, one of the largest high schools in New York City. And I worked under Dr. Juan Alvarez. And every day, Dr. Juan Alvarez would walk past the classroom I was subbing in. He called me every day. And he would peek in to the room to see what was going on. And, we would just wave. Hey, everybody wave at Dr. Juan Alvarez. Kids would all wave. And one day he pulled me aside. And he said, Mr. Moore. I said, Dr. Alvarez, explain to me, what are you doing in there? You have kids sitting down who never sat down before. I've never seen Tommy hold a pen before. He's holding a pen and he's writing. What are you doing in there? The students are sitting close together. They're engaged. There are no cell phones out. They're focused. And I said, well, Dr. Alvarez, to be honest with you, I told him that if we can work together and master this material, I'll tell you some of my stories from college. And he looked at me and he said, brilliant. I said, yeah. I said, Dr. Alvarez, that's really all I got. That's really all I got. I'm substituting. I didn't know what to do. I got some stories. He said, keep telling them. I said, I can do that. And so I'm working there every day. And then after work, I'm applying to these schools. And I'm up to 10 schools. And I'm applying to 5 schools. They tell me, these 5 schools, we don't have any money. We're in a deficit. We can't pay you. All right, thank you. Next 5 schools, you don't have the qualifications. You have a master's, but we want somebody who speaks 6 languages. I said, I only speak English. I really, a little bit of Spanish. Actually, I failed Spanish 4 times, so I don't even speak Spanish. And then, 5 more. I'm up to 25 schools. 5 more schools. You have 0 years of teaching experience. And I said, no, I have teaching experience. I'm a substitute teacher. And they just looked at me. I guess my substituting experience didn't really count in their book. And so now I'm meeting back, and I've applied to 25 schools, and I followed up in person. I applied in person and followed up in person. So most of my rejections came in person. And I developed a very thick skin in doing that. And I remember meeting up with a bunch of my old classmates. And we were all discussing the job hunt. And none of them had jobs. And some of them were lucky enough to be in a position where they said, you know what? I'm going to take a year off. I'm not going to go right to working. I'm just going to take a year off. Other people, they went into sales, or through their family, they were able to get a job. And I knew that they were going to hate that job in about a year or two, but I couldn't tell them that. And then me, I didn't have any of that. I couldn't just go travel the world. Couldn't do that. And my family, they couldn't hook me up with a job. But I had something that they didn't have. I had purpose. I knew that when I read this transformative literature when I was 20, that I was committed to that course. And I was committed to being that guy that's going to inspire children. I had purpose. And I knew that it was coming. I knew that this job was just a matter of time. So I kept going, and now I'm up to 30 schools. Same thing. No, 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 no. Same thing. Same song. And one day, I'm leaving George Washington High School, and I just had an amazing conversation with Dr. R.I.S.E about life, opportunity, growth, just, outstanding conversation. And I'm walking over to the subway, and I get a phone call. And I answer the phone. Hello. Hi, this is Miss Simmons. Is Mr. Moore there? I'm like, yes, hey, this is Mr. Moore. She said, hey, Mr. Moore, I'd like to make you an offer. I said, offer? I don't want a credit card. I don't want a new car. An offer? And she said, no. This is the Academy for Social Action. You just did a demo lesson on the poem by Tupac Shakur called A Rose That Grew from Concrete. I said, oh, yes, I remember, yes, this is Mr. Moore, yes, this is me. You got the right, I still don't want a credit card, but you got the right guy. And she said, I'd like to make you an offer to be our 7th grade English teacher. And I said, 7th grade English teacher? Me? I was just rejected by 30 schools. Yes, I'll take the job. But Miss Simmons, I have to ask, why me? She said, Jeff, I just got off the phone with Dr. Juan Alvarez. He said you were the greatest substitute he's ever seen. He's been in the New York City Department of Education for over 40 years, principal for over 20. He said he's never seen somebody come in the room and have an impact like you. I said, all right, thank you. I'll see you in September. And when I hung up the phone, I had this just feeling of joy. I was floating, and I felt like all of the work, all of the pain as a kid in college, all these rejections. I was getting rejected so many times by so many educated people, so many powerful people, I almost believed it. I almost believed that I wasn't that person. I almost believed that, who am I to help these children? But then when I had those thoughts, I had to refocus my focus to my purpose. And it was at that moment that I knew all these things I was working on myself, surrounding myself with powerful and positive people, approaching what I want with a sense of urgency. It all just, it worked out. It took time, but it worked out. And it was at that moment that I learned what resilience was. Of course, resilience is getting back up again and again and again. Of course, without a shadow of a doubt, that is resilience. But in my life, in my scenario, the lessons that I learned from trying and trying again. See, I couldn't just try the same thing over and over again. That wouldn't work. I had to apply what I was learning. I had to apply what I was learning as I moved forward. And it was only then that things started to work out. In the dictionary, they say that resilience is when you're stretched, twisted, pulled, distorted, but you're still able to return back to your truest form. And it was also at that moment that I felt like I was still that same little boy who just wanted to light people up. And now, instead of being, there's a little shift. Now, instead of being the joker and the funny guy, I'm able to do it through education, through empowerment, through developing self-esteem. And it was just a very powerful moment in my life. And I truly believe that anyone who is working towards anything, that has a vision, that has faith, that has purpose, that's surrounding themselves with people who can nourish them, it's possible. It's possible. In whatever stage I'm in my life, pursuing whatever goal that it is that I want, I just think back to these stories and I remind myself it's possible. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
And Sarah from Operation Smile, Anita Ratnam, Jeff Moore, and Cadet Udi Setyawan for the inspiring talks and performance. We hope each and every one of you will leave this auditorium tonight feeling inspired with thoughts and ideas on how you can make this world a better place. I would now like to invite Lovish and Priya to the stage to give our esteemed guests a token of our appreciation. When I call your name, please come up on stage. Cadet Udi Setyawan. Jeff Moore. Thank you all so much for coming to our event. We hope you have a great evening. Thank you.